Okay, quick disclaimer before we get started. The Blockmates podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. The information and opinions expressed on the podcast are those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Blockmates or its affiliates. Listeners are encouraged to do their own research and consult with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Blockmates and its affiliates are not liable for any losses or damages incurred as a result of the reliance on the information or opinions expressed on this podcast.
Good morning, everyone. How are we? Mike, Grant, what's new?
Just the pits of hell. We've entered the pits of hell.
Nice.
Yeah, just nothing interesting, is there? It's crap. But we keep smiling and just keep moving.
Flat as a fart. It's the most boring market I've seen in a very, very long time.
Basically, everyone's on holiday or remains on holiday for the foreseeable. Out of office.
Everyone's pivoted to AI. No one's. We're going to zero.
No one's interested. Other than me committing the cardinal sin that I despise when people do that from our region, that fucking talk about chicken parmesan and then all of a sudden crypto Twitter, my inbox is blowing up with people trying to get into the Discord with Google images of Aussie Palmers. So I'm sorry for everyone who's listened to that yesterday and cringed as much as I did, but at least it was a bit of a laugh. Hey.
Yeah, don't be sending me the Aussie version. They're nowhere near on par with the northeast cuisine of a real chicken parma.
When we say do your own research, we're not just talking about investment stuff. Do some homework. But yeah, prices and flows slightly up from the last time we were on.
Yeah, well, it's just been a big chop and big chop down, big chop up, and nothing's really moved. So yeah, we obviously in terms of Bitcoin and ETH, about where they were at the start of the week.
Yeah, you got Bitcoin at 26,540, obviously at the time of recording this. ETH, 1,840, up 0.38%. Total market cap is now 1.134 trillion. Binance outflows minus 606 million. Fear and greed index down again. So why don't we do it backwards and start with the biggest losers, and then we'll go good news. I like that. So
Gary Gensler is the biggest loser.
Yeah, he is, but we will get to him. So 100 tokens are being delisted on Binance US now due to court order.
Yeah, so I guess they've got no choice. They haven't ceased operations, so you can still buy certain tokens. So there must see some. Well, what can you say? It's just this all-out attack, isn't it? How much more can come in terms of waves of court orders against?
Don't say that. That's
sorry.
I've said a million times. As soon as we stop saying how much worse can it get, that's it. We should be good. We should be able to enjoy the markets again.
I think it's more. It's like you see the news and I'm numb to it, and I just go, "All right, okay." No, I'm not surprised.
You don't feel any enjoyment or any pain anymore. You're just comfortably numb.
I wouldn't say I'm numb to it. It's just the norm for me. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah. Another
That's
day, another lawsuit.
Yeah, so that's probably all, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, Binance, Bitcoin was trading at like a 7% premium on Binance US.
Yeah, it was.
Because I'd imagine people were just willing to market buy and try and off ramp as quickly as possible because there was that stupid fucking, I can't remember what the publication was called. It's probably best not to mention them anyway. Just posting how Binance have had the SEC have had their court order approved to effectively freeze Binance US assets when that wasn't the case at all. So they posted that. Everyone shit themselves for a minute, realized that it came from a local newspaper and they'd posted it as gospel. And based off the back of that, because they'd had what they wanted, they had their engagement, they had their clickbait around it, they just proceeded to not retract it, as they all do, and then just post underneath, or you should wait for true and proper confirmation that this is the case. It's it's a complete joke. I'm honestly one more idiot away from just fucking pivoting to football.
Dogs. Dog rescue.
I'm gonna go and be a football statistician. I'm fucking sick.
Why do we have so much of like a football theme that runs through this? By the way, like I don't know.
I like my football podcast uptick always happens when markets are like this. I just go watch the football ramble again. I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, you used to dabble in that thing that got banned, didn't you? The football
index.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it back.
I'm raising
$1 billion valuation. I'm bringing it back. I'm putting Messi into an NFT and selling them on Polygon.
Funny enough, I do the same. To be fair, I just go back to Matt and Shane's secret podcast and just listen to them talk about absolute nothing, which probably has a bit of an influence on what I bring to the table with this one, which definitely shouldn't be going down that route, to be fair. But biggest winners quickly. Mike, you cover that one.
Yeah, there's not many. Just what I've seen that's notable. And I think a couple of weeks ago, sort of Artichoke. It's a one-sided. The launching protocol for one-sided LPs. The ticker's Choke. They launched on Modular a few weeks ago, and it's been performing quite well. It's about 2x from the bottom. So it was at about 0.4 for a couple of weeks, and it had an uptick up to 0.12. It's back down again, but it's actually done really like a 10x from the bottom. So you always expect a sort of a retrace from there.
Yeah.
There's sort of a beta play on it though.
I pointed that out in Discord, Mike. I don't know if you've seen, but when everything completely tanked, it didn't move.
No.
Did not move. If anything, there was a couple of buys that came in, which is really, really, really odd. And have you used Modular?
No, I actually haven't. Fucking good. Launch. No,
it's so good. Like the wallet, which already has like inbuilt applications, so you're immediately doing away with kind of like having to search for links and worrying about phishing links, and so they kind of like whitelist applications to go on top of it, so you know the apps that you're using technically inside the app are completely safe to use. So it's
that's cool.
Really, really, really good. I had a meeting with them probably around 6 months ago now, but it's impressive to see them finally getting a bit of recognition.
Well, I guess the beta play off the back of Chokers, they've also been quite strong in this market, and they're up about 2x from where they were over the past like week or so. So they seem to be performing well. So it might be worth keeping an eye on to see what else they decide to launch on their platform.
I was going to say, is there anything else coming up, like any TG happening there? Or?
Well, to be honest, I haven't had time to look, but it is definitely on my radar to look again, especially against obviously the highlight was on like GMD and like and GND in terms of like launching gas, etc. And they've just launched that war, haven't they? So there was a highlight on that launch pad, and maybe there is a play there to look at with Modular.
I can imagine war does well digital pump that one.
And then we had notes down for Raft and Velodrome.
Yeah, I thought it was just interesting. Like it's a decentralized stable coin. It's fully collateralized at the moment. It's about 187% collateralized. So you can stake ETH on their platform and essentially lend their R token, which is a decentralized stable coin. And what in terms of, I think they launched on the 5th of June, and they've managed to capture about 26.5 million TVL, which is about 5% of overall staked ETH. So they've absolutely smashed it there, but they don't have like any governance token or anything. The only token they have is this R token, which is essentially redeemable 1-to-1 to the dollar. But I just thought it was quite interesting to see how quickly they captured that TVL over the past couple of days.
Yeah, I think there's going to be so many products built on top of liquid staking derivatives. I mean, Libra, as we commented on for a while back, that kind of just so quickly how quick they managed to kind of attract that TVL, and obviously off the back of it, the token did really well. Obviously consolidating a little bit now, but I think people will be speculating that Raft will potentially have a token, and it might be like retroactively dropped to people who early used the protocol early, effectively. So I don't know anything about it, to be honest. I've just seen it kind of come across the timeline a little bit, but that's
again,
what
maybe
if I was there, might be doing it.
Yeah, maybe something that we could look at in terms of see what if there's any large wallets that have moved over there and moved funds over there, see what the breadcrumbs look like.
Yeah, and then I don't know whether we just go straight into news flash in the pan now and kind of just blast through a couple of headlines and be like super short and sweet today. So we have obviously seen a surge in volume for like DEXs, really, most notably Uniswap, on the back of the SEC shit that we're watching unfold, which is, I guess, no surprise, really. Largest daily volume increase is obviously Uniswap. But yeah, I mean, it's not exactly groundbreaking news, is it? But I guess it just shows that people are still going elsewhere.
Well, I guess you've got no option if you're if you're trading assets on Binance US, particularly obviously these 100 alts that are getting delisted, then you have no choice but to move your funds elsewhere, which obviously we would always recommend anyways, that you get your money off a CEX, so you're not stuck. And then like Grant said earlier, then you're not stuck trying to trade out of 100 assets that are potentially going to be defunct back into Bitcoin and trading at a premium in that case. If it was on a DEX in your own hard wallet or whatever, then you've got the freedom already, and you're not panicking, I guess.
Yeah, I do like this war on crypto narrative that's been going around, like some of Brian Armstrong's tweets and stuff, like rallying the troops.
Only Brian and his bald head can save us.
Oh yeah, I truly believe it. He's just everything he puts out. I just think fair play.
Yeah,
like we need someone, and I guess like even CD, no matter what they've done, potentially, it is one of them where it's just like, well, if they're going to attack the biggest exchanges, then it only filters down from there. So is anyone safe? So if we don't actually rally together, like you'd never want to see Binance like fall over or Coinbase, because the ripple effects of that are far-reaching and deep. So you have to back them. You have to like together, and hopefully that they've got a strong enough case going forward that it like Gary can piss off essentially.
Yeah, well, it is officially it's War of the Baldies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Although I would argue that Genso has an egg in a bun. He doesn't actually have a baldy. He has an egg in a bun.
Yeah. So who you gonna like? If you're gonna choose your fighter, you're gonna go with ultra bald Brian, who's like extremely aerodynamic when he fights.
Very aerodynamic.
And like shit around his head. So
I can imagine Brian Armstrong delivering, like, remember when Zidane headbutted Materazzi in the chest in that World Cup final?
Well, I do think that like Gary doesn't have a punch in him, does he?
No.
Like, you look at him, you're like, God. He looks slightly anemic.
Yeah, but an egg in a bun for any of our non-UK listeners, or even probably non-regional listeners, is when a man who has lost his hair with a shiny dome refuses to trim the sides, therefore being an egg in a bun. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard that one, Grant? Actually, maybe it's just like a really insular thing for us.
That's very niche.
But yeah, which is even more niche. But I mean, that does actually lead me straight on to the news that we saw break, like, well, kind of late yesterday evening our time, or sort of. These things trickle through, and it's I'm pulling up the CNBC piece now, and it's Binance lawyers allege SEC Chair Gensler offered to serve as an advisor to the crypto company in 2019, which is just staggering, really, based on what we're seeing play out.
Well, I did theorize that he was just salty because he'd missed everything, and that was the reason that he's so hell bent on destroying all the innovation going on in the US through the SEC, but maybe I wasn't quite right on the mark, and it is because they wouldn't give him a job.
Yeah. I think he's salty because he missed like one of the best bull markets of all time by holding Algorand. And no, but in all seriousness, I honestly think that a similar kind of approach potentially happened with FTX. And there was a bit of like shadow play to try and increase FTX's chances being a monopoly in the US with like by proxy control of like the SEC, so they can just have complete regulatory oversight on whatever happens in that jurisdiction, and then probably further afield as FTX expanded globally. And now their little poster boy SBF's kind of, that plan's kind of fell flat on its face, hasn't it? Because they didn't have a fucking clue what they were doing. Now it's just like a bright little kid who's taking his fucking ball home and wants to destroy the industry around it. But as soon as when all's said and done, and if he isn't kind of completely reprimanded for what he's actually doing now, not just in like the crypto space, but like further afield as well, everyone is fucking sick of this little weasel. So
yeah, there's two sides to it, isn't there? So there's like the side of it is if they lose, like Coinbase to lose, then essentially crypto in the US is like altcoins and that are dead, aren't they? So you've got that side.
It's done anyway. If you're building something in the US and you're not looking to move offshore, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah,
you're a complete idiot.
And then the other side to it is if the SEC do lose, then nothing's a security. we all well. To some degree, and we can go back to playing fun and games.
Even us idiots in Europe are like making strides forward to have like a different regulatory framework with MiCA happening in Europe. I think the UK can have, if they're a little bit more open-armed, and inviting than even what's happening on the continent with MiCA, and particularly with the US leaving. UK economy is in a pretty fucking bad way. If they could have open arms to like an emerging industry, particularly like crypto and AI, and not be completely gung-ho and just like let anything happen, they wouldn't do that anyway. But if they're a little bit more lax, taking a similar sort of approach to like some Middle Eastern countries, not stifling innovation, I think it could be very, very good in the long run for them. But I wouldn't hold my breath because I'm from there and I know exactly what they're fucking like.
Yeah, you've got more. There's other opportunities, and then it's more like over your side of the world, really, where it seems to be more inviting, like with Dubai and stuff like that. Even Hong Kong opening up the doors, and even China is nearly turning the hand to it. So it's just like, again, money flows, innovation flows, doesn't it? So we'll see.
We will see. Anything else?
I think that's it for today. It's quite short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Cheers, fellas. Send it to the newsletter, please. Everyone, newsletter.
Thank you.
Tuesday.
See ya.
Bye.